Good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn Young, and I am the brand new 8 weeks into the job CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade. Thank you. I still know my own name, but that's about it by the end of each day. It's a tiring but rewarding role. I'm also the acting executive director of the South Surrey and White Rock Chamber of Commerce. Today's lunch, Building BC's Future, with Minister Diana Gibson on jobs, innovation, and economic growth, is sure to be a very informative and engaging discussion. But before we get started, it is my pleasure and honor to start by acknowledging that we are on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, specifically the Kwantlen, Katsi, Coquitlam, Kakite, Semiahmoo, and Tsawwassen First Nations. As well, I acknowledge the Inuit and Métis Nations people that live and work on these territories. Everyone, please help me thank the sponsors of this event. Our community sponsor is the Civic Hotel. Thank you, Civic Hotel. I'd also like to thank our progress partners, the Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan by SNF Group Benefits, Focus College, and Western Community College. Thank you. If this is your first time attending one of our events, then allow me to introduce us to you. The Surrey Board of Trade and the South Surrey and White Rock Chamber of Commerce are independent, non-profit organizations and are a concierge of connections for Surrey and White Rock's business communities, where we deliver a diversified service portfolio of business development, support for international trade, government advocacy, and workforce development. We support business and attract business, which is now more vital than ever. We're all about helping businesses grow in our communities, whether it's connecting people, offering resources, or pushing for policies that support local businesses. We're here to make sure that Surrey and White Rock continue to thrive. We're proud to be a voice for businesses of all sizes and from all sectors, bringing energy and innovation to the region. Before we dive into the program, please help me welcome some guests in the audience. Of course, our guest of honor, the Honourable Diana Gibson, Minister of Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation. I think Linda Annis, City of Surrey Councillor, might be here. No? Okay, sometimes she pops in. And we have the Vice Consul of Ireland in Vancouver, Mira Ní Christail. Thank you. Mira has to give me a phonetic spelling of her name. How'd I do? Okay, great. Thank you for attending. And of course, my COO just popped in. Say hi, Indra. Everyone knows Indra. All right. Today's conversation comes at a pivotal moment for Surrey. As one of the fastest growing cities in Canada, we are balancing extraordinary economic potential with real pressures: labor shortages, infrastructure gaps, rising costs, and the need for innovation-driven business growth. Our members, small businesses, major employers, and everything in between are telling us the same thing. The time for bold collaborative action is now. We need a workforce that meets tomorrow's needs, policies that attract investment, and solutions that reflect the scale and speed of Surrey's transformation. That's why today's dialogue matters. Minister Diana Gibson has a mandate that directly intersects with Surrey's priorities: jobs, innovation, and economic development. This isn't just a conversation about the future of BC, it's a conversation about how Surrey can lead it. So let's get ready to dive in. Our guest speaker this afternoon was elected as the MLA for Oak Bay Gordon Head in 2024. Beyond her political achievements, she is an award-winning community leader and successful entrepreneur. We like that. She co-founded multiple businesses, including Canada's largest Indigenous-owned consulting firm. She was the executive director of the Greater Victoria Community Social Planning Council, where she founded numerous regional services and programs, including the Greater Victoria Rent Bank. Everyone, please welcome BC's Minister of Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation, the Honourable Diana Gibson.
Thank you, Jocelyn, and congratulations. Thank you, everyone. It's my honor and privilege to be here in Surrey today and to be able to engage with you around the priorities and challenges. And so excited to have Jocelyn here at the helm now as the new CEO with stakeholder relations and advocacy campaign experience in international trade and supply chains, which is music to my heart. I think Jocelyn will be an invaluable new champion for Surrey and the Surrey Board of Trade. Of course, a big shout out to Anita Huberman, the former CEO. 31 years of service with this organization, 18 of those as president and CEO. So, overseeing the Board of Trade at a time where it was growing, as we all know, and instrumental in growing the membership, developing the tools and strengthening and supporting local businesses. And now the Surrey Board of Trade has 6,000 member contacts representing over 60,000 employees, which makes it a powerhouse of an organization, and has been doing that since 1918, which is a long legacy, really, a long legacy of supporting local businesses, attracting them, and building and harnessing the local economy. And Surrey has been an important contributor to BC's economic strength. There's such a diversity in the Surrey ecosystem, but the Surrey Board of Trade itself has been a champion for us as a provincial government in helping with things like the tariff response portal, recommendations on policy like the intermunicipal business licensing program, amending protocols for economic recovery from disaster, and working with us on the prolific offenders. And we've made substantial change with getting federal changes for prolific violent offenders and repeat violent offenders. Lots more to do, but thanks to the Surrey Board of Trade for being a champion on behalf of local businesses for initiatives like that. It's great to hear that membership of the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Surrey and White Rock Chamber of Commerce are merging, joining forces, and becoming the Surrey and White Rock Board of Trade. That partnership brings together two incredible organizations, both powerhouses that will allow for expanding programs and building on the incredible strength and momentum that both organizations have. Harnessing that together creates incredible opportunities for this region to have a powerful voice. In this moment, and I think it's great that they're coming together because this is a moment with some of the challenges we've seen internationally and some of the economic headwinds. It is a really important moment to come together and to work together collaboratively. And so I think as I meet municipal leaders, economic development experts, and businesses across the province, I have heard, and Jocelyn alluded to some of the challenges and those headwinds that are facing businesses and communities. As somebody who is a small business owner, I know that the post-pandemic period was even more challenging than the pandemic period for so many businesses. And I really felt it, the supply chain challenges, the high inflation, the high interest rates, and challenges of labor shortages and cost of living put incredible pressure, especially on our small businesses. And we were just turning the corner. Interest rates were coming down. Inflation was coming down. In December, January, we saw manufacturing jobs were up here in BC. And a lot of businesses that I talked to were just starting to scaling their exports, scaling their businesses, and then tariffs. And it really breaks my heart to have them come at this moment because I felt like we were really poised for a period of growth and confidence and opportunity. But that doesn't mean we're not still poised for a period of opportunity and growth. It just means we need to work really closely together to do that, facing the headwinds of tariffs and uncertainty. And I'll talk a little bit today about some of the responses our government's been doing around diversifying trade and strengthening the economy, which are the key focuses of my ministry as we meet this moment with businesses together, is to work together to strengthen our economy and diversify trade and business relationships. And it's really important for me that, just like you did with Surrey and White Rock, is that we do this together. We meet this moment by collaborating and by joining forces to understand the challenges on the ground and work together to tackle those with policy and programs. A few of the things we do have on the ground right now that might be worth knowing about, some of you may be familiar with our Export Navigator program and our Trade Accelerator programs. These are part of BC's trade diversification strategy, which we put in place in 2023. So before the tariffs came, we already had said we need to diversify. That's why BC is less reliant on the U.S. than other provinces, but we still have 56% of our exports going south of the border. But other provinces have 75 and 85%. So we know that it's made a difference, but there's a lot more to do. With our Export Navigator program, it's delivered on the ground for businesses to understand how to export. Some are nodding. I'm hoping some of you have accessed it. We have staff from the Jedi Ministry that work with businesses through cohort programs to help them begin exporting, and then Trade Accelerator is to help them scale that up. We also have in our ministry a team of trade and invest representatives whose business it is to help our businesses get into markets across the globe. And we have over 50 trade and invest officers in 14 different markets right now in Asia, the EU, and the UK and other places. And we opened new offices with Mexico, Taiwan, and Vietnam, new trade and invest officers on the ground, and they've been rapidly growing exports in new markets. Lots more to do around our trade diversification internationally, but our focus is to work with businesses to continue to pivot their products, pivot their markets, to diversify internationally and nationally. And that's part of what our programs are really there on the ground. And I hope people in the room will take advantage of the incredible Jedi team that can help with those programs and help with your pivots. And then interprovincial trade is another key focus we've got of what we're doing in terms of not just responding to the tariffs, because again, we actually had an interprovincial trade strategy before tariffs came in, and we were working nationally to champion. And I will champion BC products on this stage internationally and nationally every day, all day. We produce amazing innovation and technology here. But we were struggling to get the other provinces to the table. There's 235 exceptions under the free trade agreement. Those are carve-outs that different jurisdictions have said, okay, free trade there, but not with these sectors. And BC only has about 15, and we just took 2 more out, because we wanted to show the rest of the country we're ready to be at the table in free trade. But a lot of them weren't. Now those are coming down. In February, I was at a meeting where they took 40 more of those exceptions off the table. And in fact, one jurisdiction was in the room without any exceptions they were going to reduce. And the pressure in the room to be at the table reducing your exceptions under the free trade agreement was so big, they left on the break and came back with one. So, but you know, that really tells you the moment we're in. This is a moment where the opportunity for BC to be able to get access to new markets provincially across the country and then internationally, this is a moment. And our government has already had a strategy in place, so we can seize on this moment, working with our businesses to ensure that we're tackling some of the barriers to getting our products and services into other markets across the country. So I've been at that table pushing hard to ensure that the other jurisdictions feel that urgency and the pressure and continue to work together to find agreement on unlocking markets for BC products and services and reducing barriers to interprovincial trade. One of the examples we have of success in this, just to give you a sense of what it could do, is our new program for direct-to-consumer wine sales between BC and Alberta. So where we haven't made progress across the country, but we've also been doing side deals, and we did one with Alberta. And since January alone, we've seen a 7-fold increase in wine sales as volume. So 7 times the volume. That's BC trade, and that's the kind of economic development and growth we can unlock by reducing some of those barriers interprovincially and getting BC products out there. Again, you know, if I have the opportunity to champion BC wines anywhere in Canada, I will. You put them on the shelf. I'm sure if people taste them, they'll fall in love. It's an opportunity with American wines off the shelf and American liquor products for BC liquor products and wines to carve out a bunch of that, what formerly was California markets. So that's the other things we're seeing is, although there's some headwinds, we're seeing some opportunities. And we want to work with you as the Board of Trade and as businesses on the ground to see where those opportunities are and work with you to ensure you have the opportunity to seize the moment together. So there's many opportunities I see ahead for other work to be done around work we can do to unlock economic development opportunities for Surrey businesses. And just to speak a little bit about Surrey businesses, 24,000, I think, in the Surrey White Rock area. 153,000 when you count the businesses without employees. Those are numbers I've heard. You probably have even different numbers on the daily because you're probably growing quickly. But this is a major force in our provincial economy. Many of them are small and medium-sized businesses. And of course, Surrey is the largest city by land area and second most populated in Metro Vancouver, and rapidly becoming one of Canada's fastest growing cities. Surrey has the largest share of the industrial land in Metro Vancouver, which is an important conversation for us to have when we get into a discussion about economic development opportunities, is being able to leverage industrial land, ensuring businesses that are scaling and growing or that want to come and invest in Surrey can access the land. Surrey is a manufacturing powerhouse. It's funny, people, when they think about BC, really don't think manufacturing. And that's a story I'd like us to tell more, is the strength of our manufacturing sector. And I was really happy as I've been watching the job numbers. They were up in December, January in manufacturing, counter to previous numbers. And I was disappointed to see it flatline in February, wondering if tariff headwinds were going to cause us huge challenges. But it tipped back up again last month. And seeing our manufacturing jobs growing despite what's happening internationally is just an incredible testament to BC and regions like Surrey that really know how to work with and support the growth of a manufacturing jobs sector. These are great jobs. These are family breadwinner, long-term, high-paying jobs. So some of the momentum, we've been engaging with this sector here in Surrey. We've committed nearly $20 million for major industrial and manufacturing projects for Surrey through our Manufacturing Jobs Fund. One example was Punjabi Milk Foods, a processor of dairy, and founded in 1997. They are very engaged in the local community. They support local cultural events and a wide range of community organizations. And this is one of the things about that local jobs, and you guys know this as business owners, but local businesses, locally owned companies, and small and medium businesses are what continues to build our community as well. Their logos are out there on the jerseys for the kids at the baseball games, and so much community support comes out of this sector as well. We helped Punjabi Milk Foods upgrade and modernize operations for their production capacity so they could meet market demand and create new jobs, 15 new jobs. We've also funded manufacturing jobs in Dr. Ma's Laboratories, which is making natural health products, Advanced Lumber Remanufacturing, which is a wood pallet manufacturer, and A1 Trusses, which is building wood trusses for residential and commercial, creating 125 jobs just in A1 Trusses alone, helping create jobs and support local business while solving some of our housing crisis. Surrey, you guys know, I don't have to tell you, this is also strong in things like agricultural innovation, agri-tech, clean technology, and even healthcare. And these areas, BC has Canada's fastest growing life sciences sector and one of the fastest growing tech sectors. And Surrey has been home to some of that innovation and growth. One example is Health Tech Connects, which is a neuroscience innovation company that works on brain health. Founded in 2013, it helps with diagnosing brain health issues like concussions, dementia, and mental health. They support clinical trials, which is where we do the research to commercialize our innovation here in BC, and are running a neuro rehab center for treating the conditions as well. Health Tech Connects is doing great work, showing what's possible here in BC and here in Surrey to connect science, technology, and social problem solving, and help make life better for people. It's also, BC is helping, Surrey is helping BC punch above our weight class on innovation, on business. Some other areas are Naturally Homegrown Foods Limited with hard bite chips, which I haven't had the chance to try, but I now really want to. I know that my MLA colleagues, Nishad, Jesse Sunner, and Gary Begg had the chance to visit recently, and Hard Bite Chips is in the BC Agri-Food Seafood Export Catalog and markets internationally in Japan and Taiwan. And this is something we also do in our trade diversification strategy. We take businesses on trade missions. We just had a group of businesses at Hanover Messe, a big tech event in Germany, with 22 BC companies. We'll be taking more. There's agri-tech and agri-food events internationally. We have an agri-tech agreement signed with the Netherlands, and we're continuing to do bilateral arrangements with countries to promote BC businesses, and hope we can work with Surrey businesses to ensure you're part of those missions and those international events that help with building export potential. And, of course, attracting investment dollars here to Surrey. So as I meet and talk with business owners, I hear, as I said, about some of the challenges, things that you all will be familiar with, red tape, the many layers that you need to go through to get something done in your business. It's in my mandate letter to do an ease of doing business review. And I'm excited to work on you directly on the ground to do that. I think it's really important. One of the challenges I think that we don't recognize enough is that paperwork and unnecessary regulatory layering is money for businesses, because time is money. And as a business owner, I know that the time you're spending on that is time you're not spending building your business. And so I want to work with you on the ground in the community to identify ways we can make it easier. We also have a better regulations program in BC in government, where we've made 4,000 amendments to BC legislative and regulatory framework. So we've been doing this for years. We have a net zero policy on new regulations. So if something new comes in, we have to ensure it doesn't add. But I know there's a lot more to do. And I think, again, this is a moment where we have the opportunity, I think, to really come together to say, how do we make it easier for businesses to thrive? And some other things we've done with tax codes, we've delivered digital versions. So moving to things that are digital and online makes it easier, so you're not dealing with paperwork forms, or making those applications a lot more seamless, shorter, easier. And making provincial regulations more accessible so that it's easier to identify things like e-tax portal and opportunities. We've also, of course, been at the table to help businesses on the financial side, small and medium businesses. We've kept the tax rate 20% lower than it was under the Liberal government. As soon as we got in, we cut that small business tax rate, and then we raised the ceiling so that more businesses can qualify. We raised the ceiling, the threshold for exempting businesses, small businesses, from the employer health tax, and we just raised it again to make sure more businesses can qualify. We've helped with hydro rebates. We just refinanced the small business venture capital tax credit so that you can pay lower taxes on investing in small businesses, and you can have the tools to attract investors while you try to scale and grow, and we want to be at the table with you to make that something that you can do. So we refinanced in the last budget new money for the small business venture capital tax credit. We've done things like help restaurants and bars to access wholesale liquor pricing, saving over $330 million for restaurants and businesses off of their liquor bills. So there's lots more to do. We also we heard safety and community safety and business and safety for businesses has been a challenge, and we know that businesses do have the right to have a safe place in their community to operate, and clients and customers and community members need to feel safe. So we have spent new money, $67 million, for our targeted safety and enforcement program, working with the police to increase enforcement, as well as training and programs and services for safety and specifically targeting what we heard from businesses around robbery, theft, and property crime, and that is the target of that program. And we're hoping to work with you on ensuring that it's getting onto the ground, into the community where it's needed, and that we can help with tackling some of those challenges. And so there's so much more that we have to do together. Those are just a few of the programs I have the privilege of having in my ministry. And I know Jocelyn's going to ask me some questions, and I hope you will as well. Feel free. This is a conversation. I hope this is the beginning of many conversations we have with each of you as businesses and with the Surrey Board of Trade as the representative voice that can help bring those issues forward. Because, as I said, we don't tackle these headwinds alone. We do it together. And you guys have a powerful voice and a vehicle with the Board of Trade. But also with me and my ministry is that I want to be working with you directly. As Jocelyn said, I really liked the two things she said around bold collaborative action. I think this is, as it is a political moment where we can be bold. We can say, let's get those exceptions under the Free Trade Agreement down to zero. Let's get BC product and services on the shelf across this country. Let's get more, let's leverage our CETA. We've got the Consul General of Ireland here. Let's make sure we can use our trade agreement with the EU to its maximum capacity. Let's be ambitious. And then Jocelyn also mentioned Surrey's transformation. And I just want to say, we know Surrey's been transforming, and I'm aware of it. I know it's hard to be fast growing, and that's why our government's been looking to build the infrastructure. It's not just supporting the businesses that we've been doing, but recognizing the businesses can't thrive if the ecosystem isn't there, things like transportation and the SkyTrain. Hospitals and schools with the fast-growing municipality catching up to some of that growth, and our government's been making once-in-a-generation investments in schools, hospitals, and transportation. There's lots more to do to make sure that Surrey is supported in its growing, but we know it's an engine of growth, and I know from an economy perspective how incredibly valuable this partnership is, and I want to work with you to continue to see Surrey grow and thrive. I'd be remiss actually in not saying that a shout out to Gary Begg for Surrey Guildford, Jegru Brar for Surrey Fleetwood, Amna Shah, Surrey City Centre, and Jesse Sunner in Surrey Newton. I want you to know that your team is championing Surrey in the legislature every day, and that these members of my team and my colleagues really do ensure that Surrey's on the map in the legislature and in our government policy. Make sure that you engage with your local MLAs. They're there for you.
Thank you, Minister. We're just going to try to do a little pushback of this podium so you folks over here can see us as we're seated. So please have a seat and switch over my mic. Testing, testing. Great, good. We're trying something new. I want it to be more comfortable. All right. So thank you, Minister. That was really, there is a lot going on. You're a very busy person. I can see that. I hope that the audience will take you up on your offer of questions. We have the microphone in the middle. I can get us started. But please do, just jump up to the microphone at any time and I'll call on you. Just introduce yourself, the organization you're with, and of course keep questions brief and respectful. So,
Is that someone ready?
Do we already have someone?
No.
Yes?
Okay.
No. Okay.
Comments are welcome too.
Comments are welcome. So as Minister responsible for Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation, JEDI, I didn't take the joke. I thought you might put it in your speech. If you're a Star Wars fan, you get it. What are your top priorities for BC's economic growth over the next 3 years?
I think that recognizing, as I mentioned, that there's some headwinds, I think it's really critical to build the ecosystem, as we talked about, ensuring that the talent, we've got incredible research universities across the Lower Island, making sure that we're building talent pipelines for businesses so you can ensure you've got the staff you need, and the infrastructure, and then that ecosystem of being able to be collaboratively building Surrey together. I want to say that it's one of the reasons I'm so happy to have this portfolio. I did ask for this portfolio, because not just because it's called Jedi, which is fun. I said, my kid on the first day to work in the ledge, he said, "Are you taking your lightsaber, Mom?" So it is, but it is because BC's incredibly innovative. And when I first moved to BC, I moved here to become CEO of our business, which I started from elsewhere with friends, and it became quite busy. So I came to be the CEO, and every time I turned around, I'd see another association or business. And I said to one of the large foundations, I said, "Is this ecosystem more populated? Because it feels it." And she said, "It is." And that's because BC is so entrepreneurial. And literally every time 3 people get together in a room and have an idea, they start a new association or a new business. It's just incredible. And I think that that's the richness and diversity of BC, and Surrey certainly has that culture here, just incredible small businesses and innovators. And so my major goal is to ensure that we can continue to see that, not just the innovation, but to see those innovations grow, scale, thrive, commercialize, and that means we have the pieces in place for a business at each stage of its growth, and that's to find out, work with you to identify where there's gaps, whether that's being able to bring in venture capital, or whether it's industrial land or manufacturing space or talent, and that we're working at the governments there at the table to ensure that those pieces are in place so that we can continue to see that culture of innovation and entrepreneurship thrive.
So let's dig into that a little bit. So if you're thinking about small to medium-sized businesses, which are the bulk of our businesses in Canada, oftentimes businesses get comfortable with where they're at. And so to scale up, they have to adopt new technology and innovation. So what is the province doing to support these businesses? What kind of programs and services can they look out for?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because I don't have to tell many of you, Canada's had a productivity challenge, BC's had a productivity challenge, but some of that's attached to our ability to take on new technology and to be able to innovate in our processes, not just new innovations that we invent, but also process innovation so that we can get better at doing things. And that's something that my ministry's got an AI adoption policy we're working on to support businesses to be ready. But also, I think it's important that our research institutions can work in collaboration with businesses to help problem solve those technology challenges. And then we have programs that help with bringing innovation in, like our integrated marketplace and our manufacturing jobs fund, which are really focused on helping businesses to bring in technology. So lots more to do there. It looks like we have a question.
Oh, excellent.
Or a comment.
Perfect timing.
Oh, great. Well, I didn't want to steal any thunder. First of all, thank you, Minister. It's wonderful to see you here, and we really appreciate what you're saying. My name's Rob Fallman. I'm the Vice President, Academic Affairs for Excel Career College. Currently, we are looking at designing and implementing a variety of labor market-focused programs, and they're innovative. We're trying to bring as much innovation into our programming as possible. Your ministry is actually really supportive in promoting programming for retraining and reskilling individuals and upskilling. One of the challenges we face is that many of the programs require reliance upon existing existing programs, but the reality is existing programs don't meet the labor market demand as you're describing them, particularly with the AI innovations coming. Is there any move to open up more innovative educational opportunities from Jedi?
Well, that's a great question. I think I see the shifting land around, particularly AI is making changes in, and then business needs for bringing technology on. That we need to be having an iterative conversation with our businesses around what talent they need, with our colleges around ensuring that they're working with the businesses to problem solve, to bring new technologies along, to help with adoption of new technologies, and we are going to see things are shifting in our workforce around things like critical minerals and mining becoming really fast growing and is going to need workers. we've got labor shortages. We need to make sure we're supporting our talent pipeline in agri-tech and in the building trades. So certainly, I think there's a need to make sure we're working with our colleges and institutes and our businesses to make sure that that's evolving together. And it doesn't sit necessarily with my ministry, but we have introduced programs like the Youth Manufacturing Training Program. We've got a BC, we fund employers to take on, to do training and create internship placements, and we're funding apprenticeships. So I think there's lots of room for us to have that conversation. I hope we'll continue to have it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for raising it.
Thanks, Rob. You did steal one of my questions, but
You did.
I'll let it slide because we're great partners. The Surrey Board of Trade Minister actually works with a lot of the post-secondary education organizations here in Surrey. Of course, we have the new SFU medical school coming, and we've got a lot of educational opportunities here. So when I think about the youth and what their future looks like, I'm a parent as well, and so it's through work, I'm able to make those differences and work with all of these wonderful colleges. But if you're thinking about upskilling, reskilling workers whose jobs may be transformed, like the workers that are there right now, and say that there's automation coming in or industry shifts, how is the ministry helping these folks? Because I think our young people are actually, they get it. But those of us who are in a job that's changing, how do we support those folks?
That's a great question. I'll give a quick answer and then we can jump in at the microphone. The training, I think there's a lot of micro-credentialing that's happening, and I know that in the building trades, it's really important to have full apprenticeship programs and ensure that certifications are happening. But in places like the tech sector, for folks to start to be able to pick up a little bit of skills here, a little bit of skills there, and have those recognized, and then they can move towards a certificate. That's really helpful. So we do have some programs like that, and we're funding a lot more spaces in tech where people can move in mid-career, and programs like that. So I think we're going to need to watch that as we see the tech shift things in our economy and in our businesses around what kind of support businesses need and what kind of training we need to have.
Hi, Bob Deeth. I'm with Bluestone Government Relations and recently retired by my constituents as an MLA. But anyway, I was just, the question was in regards to, I was really excited to see that the Premier is going to Asia, I think in early June. And I was just wondering, first, if you're going. I don't know who's going, and I'm just really excited about it. But I was also wondering if you know what the goals are and what they're trying to achieve, perhaps what countries they're going to. I'm just really excited about that because I know that might be part of this diversification of trade, and I'd just like to maybe hear a little bit more about it.
Perfect. Thank you for the question, and a shout out to Bob Deeth for being a long-serving MLA with a lot of commitment to the riding and a lot of legwork done that's helped our government be where we're at now. The trade missions are a key part of what we do to help businesses get access to new markets, and that one is hitting, I believe, Japan, Malaysia, and South Korea, markets where we've got an appetite from the governments and the businesses to engage. And I think it's a broad range, anything from agri-tech to energy and AI and data. So I think the mission will be diverse, but what's critical is that those countries, just like Canada is looking to pivot a bit and diversify away from perhaps an over-reliance on the U.S. market, so are other countries. And the South Pacific countries and Asia Pacific are very aligned with BC on values around environment and reconciliation. And social and governance, and they have a real appetite to engage with us. So that mission is really about really reinforcing our commitments to relationships in those markets with countries that are very interested in also reinforcing and strengthening their bilateral relationships with BC. We're a gateway to the Pacific. The opportunities for us to continue to grow those markets is huge, and so that's what that trade mission is about. I'm not joining that mission. My parliamentary secretary for Asia Pacific Trade will be. He's coming from our ministry. And Parliamentary Secretary Paul Choi, and I think Lana is going because it's got some agri-tech business focus, which is fantastic for BC.
Good afternoon, Minister Gibson. Very lovely to have you speaking today, and thank you very much to the Surrey Board of Trade for hosting today's luncheon. My name is Alison Keller, and I'm with Polygon Homes. It was very encouraging hearing your comments about the importance and the province's recognition of the health of ecosystems, and particularly with the City of Surrey being one of the fastest growing municipalities in the country. So we need your help. For the ecosystems, infrastructure, as you pointed out, is absolutely crucial, and we have a housing crisis. We're trying to build, but when we are receiving feedback that we can't accept any more families in our neighborhood because the schools are over capacity, and that is the case, particularly at Grandview High School in the City of Surrey, and it's crucial. You know, kids, we've gone through the pandemic. They shouldn't have to start rotating classes virtually with being in person. We need that socialization for the full ecosystem's health, right? So, Minister, it's a comment, but I'm wondering if you could maybe speak to it a little bit, in that I've heard that, you know, if funding comes forward, you know, the high school, it probably wouldn't get expanded for another 8 years. So how can we deliver homes? How can we help bring more people, more labor force into the city if we can't build the homes because the infrastructure is lagging behind crucially? Thank you.
Thank you. It's not my portfolio in terms of the direct investments on education in this riding, but I can, or in this community, but I can tell you that our government has been making a generational level of investment in Surrey, in healthcare and school building. The challenge we have, of course, is that the Liberal government for 17 years did not build schools or hospitals. They closed them and they underfunded them and they didn't build them. And so then we have Surrey growing rapidly, and our government is playing catch up, and it's very unfortunate to play catch up after 17 years of not doing the work. And we have to do it quickly. It's more expensive now to do it, and it's so unfortunate. It's such a lost opportunity, and we're working very hard to be at the table with Surrey to build that infrastructure. We know that this fast-growing region needs that infrastructure, and we've been at the table to work to build it, and we'll continue to do so. So I hear you, and I understand the need and the challenges, and we are working to tackle that.
Thank you, Minister. Related to Alison's question, I read a stat that said 20% of BC's construction workers are over 55 and retiring soon. So we've got this workforce gap, and I'm wondering how, you know, when we look at reducing red tape and being able to do things more quickly, how are you managing the balancing act, right? We've got the red tape and permitting. We hear about it all the time. We can't get things done fast enough. And I know the province has some legislation coming out that you might want to talk about. But I guess I want you to think about the permitting, the red tape, and then the workforce, and how do we bring these two together?
Yeah, this is another challenge with that, building that infrastructure all at the same time. If you don't build for 17 years and then you try and build it all at once with the same labor force, it's more expensive. You have input challenges in terms of supply chains, and you have labor challenges in terms of labor force. But we have invested, we funded 28,000 apprenticeships and are investing heavily in the trades. We're working with, there's even a group in the room today, I think, getting youth at risk and into the workforce in skilled trades. one thing we can't do in this moment is have people sitting on the sidelines that want to work. And especially with the federal government's actions around immigration, which have challenged our workforce and our educational institutions for sure. We really need to make sure we're bringing everybody into the workforce, women coming in with making sure we've got the childcare, and with youth and folks that wouldn't normally be in trades, trying to get them in. So lots of work to do to make sure that we don't leave anyone on the sidelines right now while we harness this opportunity to build the infrastructure. And then also innovation. I know we're looking at, we've got a plan to work on off-site modulars, so we're building manufacturing jobs to build housing rather than relying on urban-based construction workers, because we have a shortage, is creating, and those manufacturing jobs are distributed around the province. I was in Nelson, which anybody who's tried to fly in and out of Nelson would know it's not an easy place to get to. They call it Cancelgar, the airport, because they cancel the flights so much. And so I was in Nelson helping with our manufacturing jobs announcement, where I had the privilege of announcing new funding, and they're doubling their capacity. There are 60 new jobs. They're building, they have a manufacturing facility that's making high-end wood product with BC wood that's going around the world. And that's in a rural area. And so we can distribute our wood manufacturing jobs throughout the province while we build off-site, modular, and prefab. And I know Surrey's got some of it because we funded one of them, the A1 Timber. So continuing to see us innovate in housing is going to be important too, for us to build the infrastructure. Schools, we could do prefab and modular schools off-site, and use BC wood and create new value-added jobs for BC workers. And they're community-based secure jobs. So just some of those pieces we have in terms of problem solving together that builds the future while we're building the infrastructure we need today.
Thank you, Madam Minister. We are a local business situated in White Rock. We've been in business for over 40 years. It's a multi-million-dollar operation. We survived COVID. We were closed for 20 months. And when Premier David Abbey made a statement for British Columbians not to cross the border, he also assured that businesses that will be affected, there will be some support coming to them. We are now at the end of May. Our business is down almost 85%. And we have not asked for any handouts. All we asked for the government to make some regulatory changes so that we do not have to pay any markup to the BC government. Today you also mentioned about wine, BC wines. And we also have to pay a 20% markup just to promote BC wines to the Americans. I believe you had mentioned to one of the TV stations that we are being charged this markup because we do not pay excise tax. We own the duty-free shop, which is duty and tax-free. There should be no duties or no taxes. It's only in Canada that we have to pay, while our counterparts in the US does not pay any state tax, any markup, or anything. So all we're asking your government is to revisit it. You know, we've been asking for the last 10 years. Now it has become quite urgent. Mm-hmm. We do not want to lose that investment. Our duty-free shop is the pride for British Columbians, and many people have crossed the border, and we get a lot of compliments for the service we provide, the pricing we provide. What you, as an economic minister, be able to do to help us?
Well, certainly my ministry is here to listen to people impacted and champion for help for impacted businesses. So please, my staff are here, and please, we'll get in touch with you, and then I can get more information about your challenge and work to take that forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that forward to me.
Sorry, another question. Does your government have any plans to reset the relationship between British Columbia and Washington State? I think that's very important. I think there's a conversation started between the two governments, and I honestly feel that is very important. It's not only us, businesses in Whistler, but all of us are suffering. Why do we have to lose our businesses because of one of Donald Trump's tariff issues? I mean, he's protecting his country. I think we should let and encourage British Columbians to travel. I mean, we can promote our industry. Like a lot of Americans love coming to BC, and we have an excellent dollar for them to come here. We have the safety, we have the beauty. And I think it's about time for us to do something.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And I think we've said from the beginning, BC doesn't want to be in this situation. Trump started this, and we have said from the beginning it hurts Americans as much as it does Canadians. And I don't know if you saw Premier Eby's presentation at the Invictus Games, but people had been booing Americans at other events, and he stood up and said, "Americans are our friends. Americans are our family. We fought beside Americans, and Trump isn't all Americans." So we recognize that. My Minister of State for Trade has been down across the border many times since Trump got in, working across the state with the governors across the western region to continue to build relationships. The Lieutenant Governor from Washington and political diplomats were in the legislature with us, and they were so warmly welcomed, and I was proud of that. They were warmly welcomed. We sent firefighters down to California, and despite what Trump was doing, we knew if we were in the same place, they'd have done the same for us. We sent firefighters down, and then the California governor stood up and said, "We will be using BC wood to rebuild." So those relationships stay strong, and I think it's really important for you to raise that, and I thank you, because as the tourist season comes, there's going to be Democrats and Americans coming to support us and bringing their dollars here intentionally. And I'm hoping that BC will give them a warm welcome and encourage them to come. And also investors are looking to come. There's talent looking to come from the States that will warmly welcome them, and BC and Washington businesses. So it is a delicate dance to stand up strongly for Canada while continuing to recognize the importance of our relationships across the border and the integration. We can't untangle, anybody with a supply chain in here knows, right? Our supply chains go back and forth, how many times our businesses are integrated, our families, our communities. So we want to see that change and continue to work across the border with those that will work with us.
So do you think Premier Abbey will be making...
Sorry, cut you off there and say, I want to talk to you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Because the Surrey Board of Trade is doing some research on border businesses and the impacts. And so let's have a dialogue, and then I'll be able to bring all of your concerns forward. Thank you.
I'm super happy to continue the conversation. Thank you for your question.
Okay, I'm going to jump in with one of my questions before we go to the microphone. In the face of this global uncertainty, Minister, how is BC positioning itself really to stay competitive in international markets? You talked about trips, you talked about relationships. Let's dive into some details.
Well, there's a bunch of different things. First, with our trade and invest officers, they're on the ground in markets, and we've seen businesses in BC looking to make those pivots. So our Export Navigator program and our trade investor officers are very active. One of the things we're doing, which is huge right now, is Web Summit, which is coming next week, which is terrifying. It's so soon, which is a very large marquee international tech event that is bringing 15,000 people and I think 600 businesses and investors. So many of the startups in BC are going to be connecting with new investors and being able to showcase what they're doing. It's an opportunity to really tell the story of BC. BC is seen as a place to come and be a tourist and see the beautiful nature. But the story of BC as an innovator, BC as a place of thriving businesses, BC as a place of competitive businesses, that's the story we want to tell at Web Summit, for example. I know that there's a tour coming out from Web Summit. They'll be bringing investors here to Surrey and showcasing what Surrey has to offer as part of the attraction. And so some of the examples, that's an example. FIFA World Cup, we're hoping to do the same, really showcase BC businesses in the process of having so many people coming to our region. So that's one thing, is really making sure that when people come to BC, we tell the story of what BC has to offer, that culture of entrepreneurship and innovation, and why investors should come here. The talent, BC has incredible talent. Our research institutions are top-notch. Those are stories we need to tell better together as businesses, as the Surrey Board of Trade, as the government, and then internationally when we go on trade missions, to be able to bring with us the businesses that we can showcase what BC has to offer and tell that story internationally. So much more of that we can do. As you can tell, I'm passionate about what BC has to offer, and I really think that the story hasn't been told as well as it can, and that's one of the things I think we can do together.
Thank you. And one last question.
Thank you very much to the Surrey Board of Trade for hosting, and to Minister Gibson for being here today. Emily Kerr, Vice President, Business Banking with Bank of Montreal. I lead the fantastic team who serves small to mid-sized businesses here in the Surrey community. My question for you, we know that BC is a province of small to mid-sized businesses, with more than 97% of all of our businesses here in this province being small business with fewer than 50 employees. What else would you like to see from big institutions like BMO to support businesses who are suffering through the external environment, who are impacted by the trade environment, who are impacted by, generally a challenging economy? What else would you like to see from us? Thank you.
Well, that's a great question. I think one of the things we see is a lot of our businesses are looking to scale, and often there's challenges with the kind of capital needed to scale here in BC. And I think having the banks at the table with being able to help them de-risk some of that investment and scaling, and be able to leverage investors from elsewhere as well. That's certainly something we've been doing with that manufacturing jobs fund I mentioned. We're leveraging $7 to every one we put in, $7 of outside federal government or private sector investment for every dollar we put in. I think there's a lot more opportunity to help businesses scale by helping the businesses to leverage that capital that they need to be able to grow. And I think the banks can be a real partner in some of that, and helping also with funding some of the innovation and creativity we've got, for example, with our housing and construction sector, but so much in our other sectors where BC is innovating and needs the capital to scale.
Thank you, Minister. I think we could talk for 2 more hours. And thank you, audience, for being at the microphone and so engaged. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I did want to thank you and offer you, if you had any final words you wanted to leave with the audience, or what you want Surrey to know about your ministry, now's the time.
Well, I hope you'll use our services. My ministry really is there with an incredible staff team that if you reach out, that will be there to help your business with pivoting, with scaling, with adopting technology, with talent relationships, and so I hope you'll reach out and engage. I also hope you'll continue to dialogue with me. I can't solve problems if we're not talking about what they are. I hope that here in Surrey, if there's challenges, whether that's with regards to red tape, as I do the ease of doing business review, or other opportunities to unlock economic development, put them on our radar, and my ministry will take that forward, and hopefully we can continue to make it an ecosystem where everyone can thrive. So thank you. I hope we can continue to dialogue, and I really appreciate the time, the Surrey Board of Trade, for having me here, and for all of you for coming and taking this time with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again to all of you for your engagement, your participation. Thank you to our sponsors, the Civic Hotel, the Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan by SNF Group Benefits, Focus College, and Western Community College. Our sponsors make events like this possible. If we could just have a round of applause. And of course, I need to always thank my staff team, who I plan on cloning as soon as possible, because they're all worth their weight in gold. So thank you to my staff team at the Surrey Board of Trade. And before we go, I just want to leave you with some upcoming events to keep in mind, since you're so engaged and interested in what's going on. On May 30th, we have a discussion with the BC Minister of Post-Secondary Education and Future Skills, Honourable Ann Kang. June 5th is our Fun in the Sun golf tournament. I'll just be driving a golf cart around. I don't golf, but I'll come and say hi to everyone. June 6th is our Game Changer Business Series, funding applications for businesses and not-for-profits. That's a good one. We have our new members being inducted on June 11th, as well as the White Rock Mayor's State of the City Address, Megan Knight, And June 18th is our AGM and networking night. So please check out our website at businessinsurrey.com and make it a great business day, everybody. Thank you so much.